Level 2 for XEI 506 is solving inequalities, and that's solving without reversing the inequality sign. And when you watch the level 4 video, you'll understand what I mean by that. But for now, this should be fine. So let's look at this first, the one on the left, the equation on the left. And what we're looking at here is an equation that's going to look similar to stuff you've seen before, except in the ones you've seen before, you had an equal sign. So you might have seen something like this before. Okay. So when we solve an inequality, we're going to do it exactly like we did this type of question, only we've got this less than sign here instead of an equal sign. We're going to treat this less than sign basically the same as an equal sign. So in order to solve this, we need to get all the x's to the left-hand side and all the numbers to the right-hand side. Or all the x's to the right-hand side and all the numbers to the left-hand side. But what we want to do is we do not want this number here to be negative when we move something over. So when we move an x over, we want it to be the smaller of the two x's. So start with x. This is like 1x and it's smaller than 2x, so this is what we're going to move. So we're going to subtract x from both sides. Okay, and that gives us x plus 7 on the left is less than -4. Okay, and then we're going to subtract 7. Alright, so we're going to have x is less than, well, -4 minus 7 is going to be -11. So if you were going to graph that, you would just draw a number line like this, and then here's -11. X is less than -11. Notice I have an open circle there. Alright, let's move on to the second example. Here it's a little more complicated, but again, the steps are basically the same as it would be if this was an equal sign. So first we want to get rid of any parentheses. Alright, so 9x minus 8 is less than or equal to. Alright, distribute this 2x minus 8. Okay. Alright, and now we want to bring the smaller of the x's over, so that's the 2x, so subtract 2x. Okay, so we'll have 7x. Okay, that gets rid of this. 7x minus 8 is less than or equal to -8. Okay, we want to bring this over, so we're going to add 8. Okay, so we have 7x is less than or equal to -8 plus 8 is 0. And then last step, divide by 7. We want x by itself, and you get x is less than or equal to 0. We're not going to graph this one, but if you were to graph it, you'd have a closed circle, and then it would be going to the left, the shaded part. Alright, and then the final type of question that you might see that is a little different than the ones we just did is a compound inequality. And that's one where we have actually two inequalities here, but there's an or sign in the middle. Okay, so let's look. This one you're going to solve separately. So you're going to solve this one over here, and we're going to solve this one over here. And we're going to do one at a time. So when we solve this inequality here, we're going to have 3x over 4 plus 6.5 less than 2. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to get this fraction by itself, so we're going to subtract 6.5. And that'll give us 3x over 4 is less than -4.5. Okay, now we want to multiply the 4 across to get rid of the fraction. Okay, so that's going to give us, alright, well 4.5, negative 4.5 times 4 gives us negative 18. So now these cancel. We've got 3x is less than negative 18. Okay, divide by 3. And we have x is less than negative 6. Okay, that's our first part. Our second part over here, well, if you have two like terms on one side, you need to combine them anyway, so let's do that first. So we've got 7x minus 2x is 5x minus 1 is greater than or equal to x minus 5. All I did there was combine like terms from right here. Okay. And then we need to bring the smaller x over to the side with the bigger x, so subtract x, these cancel. And then we've got our 0 out, rather, not cancel. And then we have 4x minus 1 is greater than or equal to negative 5. Alright, so we need to add 1 to both sides to get the x term by itself. We have 4x is greater than or equal to negative 4. Divide by 4. And then you have x is greater than or equal to negative 1. Okay, so our answer here, whoops, this was left over from our last video. So our answer here is both of these. So we've got both x is less than negative 6 and x is greater than or equal to negative 1. And if we were to graph this, okay, we'd have, here's negative 1, here's negative 6. You'd have an open circle for negative 6, and then the shaded part would be going this direction. Okay, and then we'd have a closed circle here. Make sure it's obvious if it's open or closed. And then the shading would go up. Sometimes you'll be asked to also graph your solution, and this is what I mean by graphing your solution, is putting it on the number line. And that's about it for level 2. If you have any questions, please ask Ms. Fisher.